Well, good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daniel Witt. I'm the president of the International Tax and Investment Center and a very proud member of the advisory board of StrategEast. And we're delighted to be gathered today at an event that's being co-organized by Microsoft and StrategEast to look at the important role digital tax solutions can play to help drive a post-pandemic, sustainable, and inclusive economic recovery. When you think about what does the world need, what does every country need? We need economic growth, and we need employment, and governments need revenues. So I think this nexus of growth, employment, and revenue comes together at a point where digital tax solutions can make a significant impact in advancing all three of those objectives. Today, we have gathered a panel of experts from across Eurasia, and I'll introduce the panel in a minute. I would just like to say a word or two about StrategEast. Today's program is part of the StrategEast.Live series, where they bring together, StrategEast gathers a variety of experts to talk about how countries in Eurasia can advance the infrastructure, the soft infrastructure. The companies would deliver the hard infrastructure, but the soft infrastructure to further develop a knowledge-driven economy in each of their countries. A quick word about StrategEast, founded 3 years ago, has the mission to reinforce the values of rule of law and property right protection in Eurasia and the Baltic states, a collection of countries that came together, that were created following the dissolution of the Soviet Union. StrategEast is a research and education foundation organized as a as a nonprofit foundation in the US, but it has offices, program offices in Ukraine and Georgia. So this program clearly fits in what countries need to do to further develop a knowledge-driven economy. Again, we're going to be looking at it from the perspective of revenue administrations. And we can't think of this as just revenue, but I think the mission is bigger, to have sustainable, inclusive growth. Secondly, we know the intersection of tax and customs often is a little dangerous territory that often invites corruption. And I've always said, paying taxes should not be scary, and it should be easy. And I think having digital solutions can address that very critical point that I just made. So enough for me. Let me introduce a very distinguished panel that, like with all StrategEast programs, brings together public and private sector leaders. Arsen Aldanov is the chief expert of the Strategic Development Division of the State Revenue Committee of the Ministry of Finance of Kazakhstan. And I'm gonna mix these up because that's the way I would like us, not just to hear from government and then hear from industry. Eman Hawk is the co-founder and CPO at Quantexa. This is an IT industry that's pioneered network analytics and saved clients billions in dollars or whatever currency in fraud and financial crimes across government, banking, and insurance. Because that's a critical part of this, is the system security, the data security. I know from working on tax reform in Kazakhstan beginning in 1991, really, is even a simple paper tax return. Businesses were afraid of privacy and confidentiality, and would their tax return with proprietary confidential data get into the hands of their competitors. And I think that's still a very valid concern as we move to digital solutions. Our next speaker is Najat Hassin from Azerbaijan. He is head of information technologies at the Digital Tax Administration Department of the State Tax Service under the Ministry of Economy of the Republic of Azerbaijan. We have Yorgi Kandalecki, Deputy Head of the Analytical Department at the Revenue Service of Georgia. And we have Evgeny Koran, the Country Manager at Microsoft in Belarus. It's just a word, my understanding from working as a policy advisor, is that Microsoft has digital solutions for tax systems that are used by revenue services around the world. And we look forward to hearing from our two industry participants and also from our three government participants. So with that brief introduction, why don't we turn it over to you, our son, to kick us off this morning. And what we've asked is we really want to make this interactive. I think that makes it more interesting for us and certainly the listeners. And there will be hundreds, if not live with us at the moment. These are pushed out through many social media platforms. And in a week's time, I suspect we may be up into over 1,000 viewers of this. So if we can just have some brief remarks, and we'll start with you, Arsen.
Many thanks for giving me the floor. Dear Dan, I highly appreciate it. Do you hear me well, my colleagues?
Everything's good.
Yes, that's great. So I will start, if you don't mind. So the State Revenue Committee of the Ministry of Finance of Kazakhstan is doing a lot of work to create convenience for the use of information systems, the introduction and development of various services, the choice of methods to comply with tax legislation, as well as to ensure the safety of data on taxpayers. Today, almost all internal processes of receiving and processing tax forms, statement and reporting forms, have been automated. If in the 2000s, all the tax reports were submitted on paper with personal presence, today 99% of tax forms are submitted exclusively in electronic form. So, in addition, for the delivery of tax reporting form, an additional tax electronic digital signature is not required, and the need to install a Java application on the user's computer is eliminated. So, at present, 46 out of 50 public services have been transferred to electronic format. It's almost 100% of tax reporting forms that are accepted in electronic format. So, at the next stage, we plan to reduce by another 46 by 2024 the tax reporting forms up to 20. In addition, the forms of tax statements, notifications, and other documents will be optimized. For example, for the corporate income tax, it's planned to reduce the tax reporting forms from 7 to 3, for the individual income tax from 5 to 3, and for the value added tax, VAT, from 3 to 2 tax reporting forms, and for the subsoil users tax reporting forms from 9 to 1 tax reporting forms. So I'm going to tell you about electronic invoices. Mastering by taxpayers of the electronic exchange of invoices and later of the shipping documents allows switching to paperless document flow technology, guaranteeing the delivery of documents between counterparties, obtaining confidentiality of document exchange using an electronic digital signature, ensuring quick search and convenience of document reconciliation, compatibility with any accounting programs. The implementation of the electronic invoice information system is aimed at creating transparent system of relationships, which is beneficial for bona fide taxpayers and minimizes the risk of fictitious transactions. So, for reference, information system electronic invoices was launched on July 1 in 2014 on a voluntary basis. At the same time, tax legislation of Kazakhstan provides for a phased transition of taxpayers to the mandatory issuance of electronic invoices from 2016 to 2019. From January 1 in 2016, authorized economic operators. From July 1, 2016, customs representatives, owners of temporary storage warehouses, owners of customs warehouses, customs carriers. From January 1, 2017, taxpayers selling goods from the list of the World Trade Organization. From January 1, 2018, large taxpayers subject to monitoring, payers of value-added tax on international transportation services. From January 1 in 2019, all value-added taxpayers have been transferred to the mandatory issuance of electronic invoices. Electronic invoicing has a number of advantages, such as cancellation of the provision of the register of sold purchased goods, works, services to the state revenue authorities. With the introduction of the information system electronic invoices, the time for issuing one electronic invoice on average takes up to 2 minutes to issue, send, and receive the status delivered. In addition, this information is automatically reflected in the information system electronic invoices. This caused the cancellation of the submission to the tax authority of the register forms for sold purchased goods, works, and services. At the same time, it was previously spent on this process up to several days, and accordingly, this affected the time of filling out a tax declaration for value-added tax, reconciliation, accounting, entering information into a register of tax form, etc. Now, in the international evaluation of e-invoicing by Bilintis, Kazakhstan was noted as a country that made a significant breakthrough in the development of electronic invoicing processes, from the beginners group in 2012 to the leaders group in 2020 for electronic invoicing, along with such countries as Singapore, South Korea, Hong Kong, and others. In addition, through the integration of information systems of the State Revenue Committee for Customs and Tax Administration, the national system of traceability of goods was created. It allows you to automatically carry out end-to-end control of the movement of goods from import or production to retail sale or export. Thus, the information system Astana 1 provides control over the electronic declaration of imports of goods to the Republic of Kazakhstan. Data on declarations for goods in the online mode are automatically transferred to the information system electronic invoices. Further, end-to-end control of goods turnover is provided based on electronic invoices. At the same time, desk-based control is carried out remotely without going for an audit using the risk management system. Thus, all VAT payers and non-payers who sell imported goods according to the list of withdrawals of the World Trade Organization are under constant automatic monitoring. The virtual warehouse model, it's another our system which we are very proud of. Module has been implemented as an additional traceability tool. It provides online suppression of manipulations to overstate imported goods and legalize gray imports. In addition to increase the efficiency of physical control of the movement of goods, accompanying invoices for goods are being introduced. Thus, the integration of customs and tax systems is complete and allows for online VAT administration. In general, due to implementation of the traceability system, More than 490 billion tenge has already been transferred to the budget. An increase in VAT revenues by 2 times was ensured. The planet indicator in the state plan of the nation, 100 steps, an increase of 10%. Application of the virtual warehouse model is extended to 15 categories of goods. The planet indicator in the plan of nation, at least 4 categories of goods. So let's move on blockchain technology. Kazakhstan also announced the ongoing project of VAT administration using blockchain technology. In Kazakhstan, from January 1, 2019, a new procedure has been introduced for the return of excess VAT for taxpayers who use the VAT control account on a voluntary basis. Based on the data available in the information systems of the state revenue bodies, including the Astana 1 information system, tax report processing services information system, unified data warehouse information system, centralized unified personal accounts information system, electronic invoices, VAT information system blockchain. In automatic mode, within 15 days, without conducting an audit in 2019, a VAT refund was made to 5 taxpayers, applying a VAT control account in the amount of over 93 million tenge. This year, we are actively working in this direction and have already begun to develop a new model of VAT administration based on the development of the existing information system, electronic invoices, in order to implement a simplified return of excess VAT without verification for all taxpayers. Now, I'm going to talk about the last electronic technology called Open API service. In addition, in order to improve the convenience of users, the State Revenue Authority has implemented an Open API service that allows the IT market to develop their own services for the implementation of taxpayers' reporting in their accounting systems. So, in 2020, a phased launch of the API service began. The service allows you to accept 33 forms of tax reporting. To these days, 10 companies are connected, including one of the most popular products for accounting and tax accounting for taxpayers, the 1S rating system, and the bookkeeping group of companies. In addition, joint stock company Halyk Bank is also connected to the system for small and medium business on submission of tax reporting. This service simplifies the process of submitting tax reporting forms for taxpayers as much as possible. There is an available guide for filling out the declaration. A quick and easy filing format has been implemented. And to send the declaration to the taxpayers, it's enough to use the automatic filing mechanism. Check the indicators using detailed transcript reports and click on the send button. In the process of sending, the declaration is certified by an electronic digital signature in order to transfer the data to the state revenue authorities. And in conclusion, I would like to note that the reforms we are implementing to create favorable conditions for businesses have already found a response from taxpayers. So, in the framework of an independent survey, the total time to fulfill the tax obligation in 2019 for the 3 main types of taxes, corporate income tax, individual income tax, and VAT, is 105 hours per year. Just to note, 1,029 respondents took part in the survey. We understand how important it is to create an enabling environment for improving the tax culture. So,
perfect.
Yes,
well, thank you. What I'd like to do is maybe quickly go to our other 2 government participants to give us a brief overview of how far they have progressed with digitalizing your tax administration. And then I want to go to the 2 solution providers, and then we'll circle back with some questions. But that's very impressive, particularly on the VAT. So if we could now turn to Georgi to tell us about your experiences in your progress in Georgia, please.
Hello, thank you. I am really excited to be part of this event. I will try to put things with a different angle, and I will try to speak in a different angle. If one of my good friend from Australia said, he's tax guy also, the tax system is all about data. If we ask the question, what the tax administration are doing, what we are producing. Actually, we are not producing anything, but only one thing. And this one thing is data. We are producing data daily basis. And this is crucial for our society to process this data in a manner that we can provide our citizens really good services and good tax control system, also compliance. What I can say about our reforms, I want to emphasize two major projects what we did previous years. Because I'm not talking about electronic invoices, electronic tax returns, because in Georgia, 99% are electronic everything. Taxpayers can benefit from our system. But I want to emphasize one thing. In previous year, we launched a new system, a new automated VAT refund system. And why we did this? Actually, in previous years, we had a huge problem regard to processing tax returns, VAT returns. I can say that only 10% was refunded out of total value, and it was really kind of fiscal risk also. Not only that taxpayer did not able to take their money, they did not have access their VAT. And we made huge reform regard to this. We launched, as I said, a new system, and this system contains not only processing tax returns, and we implemented, we developed 6 risk modules. It contains machine learning algorithms, and everything is automatically done. But also we changed our business process, how auditors are dealing with some fraudulent activities or something with regard to VAT. And I can say that this is digital transformation, our operational system, but it was really hard. It was hard because of not only to develop these softwares, but also to change mindset of people who were dealing with some audit or something within a different mind. But I can say that we are able to change their mindsets, and this is ongoing process, and it will be always there. But I want to emphasize that the role of softs and what we are benefiting from Microsoft. It is a huge benefit for us to have tools like Microsoft are providing society and for us. Yes, and we were able to create, as I said, risk modules with Microsoft products, and not only we are using also open source tools like Spark, etc. Yes, and last but not least, I want to mention one project. Right now, we are in process of developing business intelligence in Georgian Revenue Service. We created enterprise data warehouse. We have this huge repository for data, and we are now in process of to deliver data, the right people at the right time. As I said, this is also really hard to change people's mindset, but it's also an interesting process. Yes, and this is all what we are doing in terms of data democratization in Georgia Revenue Service. It contains huge things like data protection and stuff like this, but we are working on this. Yes.
Well, Yorgi, thank you. I heard two things here. One, how it's improved the operation of the tax administration, but you also touched on, and I hope he can expand on it with Najat, on the customer service experience. I know from working in Azerbaijan with the old Ministry of Taxes, you were one of the first to really develop a taxpayer service program. So if we think about the taxpayers and making them want to come into the system, not hide from the system, these types of technologies, again, I say making it easy and not scary for a typical business person to engage with your agency and pay taxes. So I think that's an excellent transition to Najit to talk about Azerbaijan. And I think your automation has been built on the back of very strong taxpayer services vision and department.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving a speech. I want to talk about what opportunities does technology provide in the tax services in general. As you mentioned, the tax automated system, which has been implemented in 2006 in our ministry, it was a pilot project. But during a long period, an impact of business need, the current system has been developed, and now it has approximately active backend 30 models. The one of main models is the collecting relevant data from other government bodies such as customs, banks, and etc. It gives an opportunity to cross-check a filing and payment and invoices for the Campbell checks. The debt control model is also integrated with other models and automatically controls the turnover of debt. If the debt appear in our system, the system automatically sends information to the banks to freeze all customer accounts. The second, I will say short about our system. As I mentioned before, we have 30 models. I think our employees doesn't do anything by paper. The system makes for them everything. Only you need to click some buttons to send to taxpayers. The second topic is a short overview of development of e-services for taxpayers. The first e-service has been started in 2007. Now we provide 63 e-services. Most of them are interactive services. Nowadays, I think 99% of taxpayers use only electronic services to send declaration or filing invoices and pay electronically. In 2013, we launched our e-signature, our own e-signature system. Its brand is Asan Imza. It's mobile Imza also, and most of taxpayers use this e-signature, and our signature is integrated with e-government system also. The next topic is of modernization of the personal electronic account for taxpayers. It means electronic cabinet. The first cabinet has launched in 2007, and it has only one electronic services to send such as documents to the taxpayers, tax agency. So we have a long-term strategic plan to recreate our public electronic cabinet for the taxpayers. It gives to them one single cabinet and create filling and invoices in one single cabinet and send to cooperate with our tax agency. The next project should be to create a mobile application. Of course, how our colleague from Georgia said, our debt is to collect data, but we should also to provide some electronic services, convenient services for taxpayers. Of course, its main plan to our in our agency. Next, our big project was e-cash register system. The current project has been started in middle of 2018. I'm sorry. The full after the starting the project, the whole turnover of taxpayers now in our database. To promote this project, in May last year, in May, we started a new tax return project, VAT tax return project, which has been selected as Innovation Project of the Year. Of course, we're open to communicate with other vendors to collect offers of modernization of our ecosystem. That's a short overview of our plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it's been very impressive. Now we'll turn to our two private sector, those that provide services to people like you. Iman, I'd like to hear from you. As I read your bio, I read about the services Quantexa provides to help reduce risks, identify and control risks. I mean, when you look at taxes, it depends what set of eyes. If it's through the taxpayer, it's about minimizing risk. It's about ensuring they pay the right amount. And similarly, the risk on the other side by the government. So if you could share the services you've offered to governments that have helped fight fraud, reduce risks of misallocation of resources. And I'm really intrigued. Maybe you touch on it and we can get back into it in our discussion, how AI can play a role in driving these solutions even more widely within governments for taxpayers and consumers of government services. So, Iman Hawk.
Thank you. I'm actually just going to share a couple of slides to help with this. So, I guess I've been working in and around this space since about 2004, when I did a very major project with HMRC in the UK to transform how they were doing tax collection, tax compliance based on data. And they were facing a number of issues around things like VAT, corporate tax, personal tax, base erosion, profit shifting, VAT carousel fraud, and so on and so forth. And in fact, today, having done these sorts of projects with tax authorities from New Zealand all the way to Canada, we're currently working with the Belgian tax authority to tackle the latest spike, if you like, in threats caused by COVID when you delay collecting VAT and you have other types of organized criminality in things like construction industry schemes and so on and so forth. So the big problem is, the big problem is what you see on the left. When you're dealing with data in its sort of most basic form, it is really just a series of tax returns about individuals, returns from corporate customers, VAT returns, corporate returns. If you have PAYE tax, it could be duties and other things. And it's a large jumble of data where sometimes it's hard to actually understand what's going on in the data. And really, on the right, are the sorts of structures and movements of products and invoicing. So the top example is a classic VAT carousel fraud type arrangement where goods and products are being moved around a series of companies. So even whether it's something like a VAT carousel problem, or whether it's a personal individual who's got rental properties and he appears to have, you know, more wealth than maybe he's declaring and he's not declaring his rent, or whether it's companies with obscure structures, you really have to join the data up into networks. But to do that, you want to enhance and enrich the data with third-party data, corporate structures, ultimate beneficial ownership structures, data from other government departments. In the UK, for instance, HMRC will know, you know, who owns boats or yachts, or what vehicle you might own, which properties you own. And all of this is part of the input into trying to understand how and where someone should be paying a tax. The problem you've got is if you're using third-party data, quite often that data doesn't naturally link together, and you have to attempt to match the data. Now, fraudsters are very good at avoiding being matched. So we use a process called entity resolution, and it's really all about triangulating many different data points, from names, contact details, to addresses, to using third-party data to join these things together. Once you can join them, you can then build them into networks. And it's really using the network as the input into your model. So, you know, people mention AI. Obviously, you can use machine learning. You have to be careful because you want a transparent model that's very explainable. So actually, what you find is people use a combination of different techniques, from outlier analysis, normal statistical techniques, regressions, longitudinal analysis, free text analysis, and so on and so forth, as well as AI techniques. But the key here is when you're building a model, you need to score events in their own rights, like a tax return, like a VAT return. You need to score the entity. If it's an audit company, do they have a track record of aggressive tax planning, for instance? Or if it's an address, what else is at the address and how risky does that address appear? Or if it's a company or a person. But then you need to connect the data into the network and score the network, because often people operate below the radar by spreading the risk around across multiple components. We're doing a project for US Customs and Borders Protection at the moment where they have a duty limit of $800 a day, tax-free imports. Now, obviously, what people are doing is creating multiple companies to basically work around those limits. So whether you're looking at base erosion, profit shifting, VAT carousel fraud, or other types of fraud typologies, you need to understand the legal structures of companies, individuals, and how they interact. And that is the data that then goes into your model. So what a digital channel solution looks like is moving this upstream and being able to do it in real time. So you need to be able to take the tax return, the VAT return, and so on and so forth, join the entities, build the networks, run your model, score them, and then possibly alert those to specialist investigation teams or local triage teams. And it doesn't really matter what problem you're trying to address, the topic is always the same. I need to identify more of the risk, missing tax, whatever it may be. I definitely want fewer false positives. So, you know, typically we see a 90% reduction when you're scoring at a network model level. And I want to be able to just show the end user, what does this look like when it's been untangled and drawn out as networks and all the risks have been highlighted, so that the inspectors can make much faster decisions and do their tax planning. So that's typically the approach we work with. We provide, I won't go into a lot of details, we work very closely with people like Microsoft, where we provide a platform and a set of components that do this entity generation, network building in, we heard it earlier, technologies such as Spark and Elastic, and people then build their models using standard modeling techniques on top of this. But you can have the same underlying data, can be built into different networks in different orders for many different tax problems. And typically the systems we build will run, the largest system we have runs at 50 billion records, very high performance and throughput. So we work closely on top of things like Microsoft Azure and HD Insight platform. So really, it's all about joining the data to get some context before you run your models on top for detection for whatever the problem might be. So that's really all I wanted to cover off on how we use
Imam, thank you. And I want to come back to you because I can't help but think your services really boiled down. I mean, what got me was the risk assessment, being able to identify problems that need more attention from the tax service, but also you're screening out a lot of taxpayers who are not problematic.
Exactly.
And therefore, it's not a painful process for them to be fully compliant. And so you've got, I don't know what the statistics are, but only a small number of people are criminals, tax evaders, or fraudsters. And to make a voluntary system work, you want those people to have a painful experience because they're stealing from the government. For all the others, you want it to be a happy experience. And that's where the data and the risk assessment. And let's get back to that in a minute. I'm excited to hear from Evgeny from Microsoft. Most of us think we know Microsoft because we've used their software. We've used computers that say Microsoft on them. But there's a lot more. We look up in the cloud. We look at their partner networks. The whole digital transformation that is behind the scenes. So Evgeny, if you could tell us a bit about all of those behind the scene things. And I know you have a very strong, if not one of the strongest in the world, of a division that sells to governments to help them deliver better services to governments and help governments better serve their people. So if you could just touch on some of that, please.
Hello, Dan, thank you. Hello, colleagues. Very glad to see all of you, especially our colleagues and partners and the representative from my customers like Georgi and Nijat, because I'm also responsible for Georgia and Azerbaijan as well. Not for Kazakhstan yet, but anyway, glad to hear to see all of you. Yeah, indeed, Microsoft, let's say, have a great footprint and amount of projects around the world and in our region as well, in terms of cooperation with governments. And we always start from the top, like having envisioning workshops, etc., with on the level of presidents, ministers, etc., prime ministers, to understand the priorities of the government. And it appears actually that one of the let's say most popular priorities, if I may say like this, is for sure taxation, because it's revenue of the government. And if you need to be competitive on the market, if you would like to attract let's say good workforce, to be a power player with your neighbors, so you need to be on the top of this essential digital transformation of all these services, etc. And having this feedback and for sure requests from the governments, we have a huge team and actually special industry inside Microsoft, which is responsible for taxation. And this team consists of great professionals who had previous experience working in different countries in the ministries of taxation, who understand really the needs and understand your, let's say, pains and needs, etc. And we have great professionals who can realize all of these requests in a digital let's say, sphere to construct the architecture, etc., state-of-the-art solutions which help you to better, let's say, to improve your efficiency in this area. I will also share a few slides with you, if you
Please.
allow, just to understand common Microsoft approach. Tell me when you will see it.
Yes. Yes.
Unfortunately, I could not see what is on your screen right now. So you see, digital transformation is essential to sustaining tax, right? Hello? Hello?
We saw your screen.
Yeah, okay. We
Yep.
just see the slide right now.
You just expanded a little bit. It needs to be made bigger.
Sorry.
There you go. Perfect.
You can see it, right?
Yep, we can see it. It's
Yeah.
yes, it's fine.
Okay, so so there are, let's say, 4 pillars. You see them on the screen. Empower your employees to do their best work. It means the workers of the ministries of taxation and field workers, etc. Engage your taxpayers, for sure. We already touched this topic as well. Optimize your operations and be sure that it's sufficient. And then transform your services in a broader sense. And actually, tell me if you see it well.
Yes.
Depending on the digital maturity of the customer, on different stages, we provide different solutions for different needs. Like if you, let's say, on the basic level, starting the transformation journey, so you for sure need to think about cybersecurity, identity management, data control, modern administration. If you, let's say, moving ahead, so you becoming to think about some BI and visualization to take decisions better and faster. Then for sure, as we mentioned already, taxpayer, let's say, experience and journey. So how they interact with tax authorities. So it is digital tools like portals, applications, pre-filled, let's say, taxpayer lists which make their life easier, which also increases tax collections, etc. It is tax employee experience, for sure, to be sure that you are protected from critical mistakes, etc. That you also, let's say, secure, that you see a lot of previous interactions with the taxpayer, what is his profile, etc., etc. And then for sure, digital tax revenue management, like electronic invoicing, document filling, as I mentioned, predictive revenue forecasting, which is also critical, I guess, for the governments, you know, to understand how many taxes they will be able to collect, right, and to spend for different needs, especially during this, you know, COVID times and different challenges. You need to adjust and to think fast. This is critical if you have to have a platform which will allow you to make this decision fast. How much money I can allocate, you know, for different purposes. I don't know, to buy a vaccine or whatever, to buy new equipment for hospitals, etc. So and for sure we can go further and let's say we have, let's say, hundreds of solutions and partner solutions. By the way, Quantexa is our great partner, global partner, which also provide their great services based on our cloud platform. And this is also a strong part of Microsoft, that we have, let's say, a platform which allows to build this kind of environment without let's say, having different pieces of technology. So it's complete one single piece of technology which allows you to, to develop it step by step and have one environment from technological perspective. For sure, we have different solutions available. Like not every country can, go fully into cloud. Like developed countries from Western Union, for example, they have limitations, regulations. So we have hybrid scenarios, and we had this experience, for example, with Quantexa in Belarus, that we designed an architecture when all the taxpayers' data is remaining on the ground, on the territory of the country in the dedicated data center, but all, let's say, magic with AI, etc., can be done outside in the containers, in having the full power of cloud. And this is, I think, one of the most demanded scenarios, and it's becoming more and more popular nowadays. And for sure, I'm ready to follow up with all of our respective customers, to say more with our partners, to share more information. I think it's not the purpose of this call. We need to exchange some maybe experience, and I'm open for questions to discuss. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Make sure I'm happy. Thank you, Evgeny. I mean, as I look at this slide you have up on the screen, I mean, we could have a 4-hour roundtable discussion, and I think we will. I would love to integrate some of this workshop with. I'm thinking of our dear Kazakh friend. Some of this could be used at the Britacom meeting that will eventually be held in Nur-Sultan when we can travel again and be sitting in person. I mean, so if we step back for a minute, and you think, many people say, and I think it's pretty close to true, that 80% of a government's revenue comes from 20% of your taxpayers. So that's where the risk is. And what can you put in place to better manage that risk? And in doing so, you've got 80% of your taxpayers who you want to make it super easy. And I'm always impressed when I would go to East Africa, to Kenya, to Tanzania, and small businesses use a mobile phone to make their quarterly taxes. They do a mobile phone to make payroll. So I'm one of the consequences of digital solutions is it's transforming what would otherwise be a black economy, into, you're de-shadowing it. You're bringing payments into the formal sector, and indeed some entire businesses. And it's by making it easy and hospitable. And in doing so, you're collecting an enormous amount of data, which helps you catch the people who are trying to hide. So I see it as win-win from the perspective of taxpayers, and of course, from the perspective of the government, who is looking to collect the taxes and have a higher compliance rate. So maybe I would love to circle back when we look at that win-win, a better customer experience, so it's easy to pay tax, but then the risk management, the risk assessment that gives you the tools and an ability to allocate your resources to where you think you're being cheated. So if we could just quickly, real quick, couple of minutes from each. We've got 4 minutes. I'd like to hear a minute from Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, and Georgia, how you have used these tools. Kazakhstan, go first.
Thank you. Thank you again, Dan. As a matter of fact, our main aim is to alleviate the burden on taxpayers and to support the businesses, especially in these pandemic times. So it's our main reason to serve and protect people, you know. So and overseas experience is being learned so that we could easily implement their experiences, our overseas colleagues, into our systems. And as I said, we are always open for new offers, for new experiences, for new practices, and so.
Thank you. Georgi, how have you used the data warehouse to improve your risk assessment so you can devote your resources to go after the cheaters and make it a pleasant experience for the honest taxpayers?
Thank you, Dan. First of all, I would like to briefly touch on the point what you already raised. The digitalization in whole country, like mobile phones, payments with mobile, and etc. I think in this area, in the different countries, in the life of different countries, there is stages, I think. There is a stage where this kind of services are produced and the society can use this kind of services. But in other hand, we, and you mentioned this, we have huge risk, because if we make something easy for taxpayer, for people, and we are making easy also for fraudsters, and it will be easy for fraudsters to do something bad. And how we are using our data warehouse? I think I am data analyst, and it's heaven for me to have such kind of tool to do my thing as proper as I can. As I said, we are collecting huge data, but the thing and problem what we have right now is to process this huge amount of data. I'm saying this because we have in Georgia these digital solutions like cash registries, like e-invoices, etc., everything. But the thing is to process this. Right now, how we are using, as I mentioned, in terms of processing, this VAT, new automated VAT system is fully developed and deployed within this data warehouse. And we have machine learning AI, we can say this kind of algorithms, and we are processing this. And 90% of whole tax returns are released automatically, and this is huge amount. And I want to stress this because this was a really crucial decision for Georgia to have to taxpayers have access in this money, and we are releasing and we made this 9 times. We are refunding 9 times more VAT than those previous years, and this is huge.
It is, and let me just stop you there because I want to hear from Najat. Just a quick comment on how you've been able to have a better experience, perform better. It also protects the employees at the tax inspectorate who, previously may have been accused of corrupt behaviors when giving refunds that are rightly due. It's the amount tax due is a legal calculation. We're lost in this tax justice debate about, is it fair? It doesn't matter. It's the right amount or it's the wrong amount. And the taxpayer needs to be protected, and the tax officer needs to be protected too. So just a quick word on that, Najat, and then we'll wrap up.
Of course, we are talking about a short list of taxpayers who wants to evade from tax payments. These guys are very smart and very creative, you know, and we have a risk management system which prevents some actions during these taxpayers, and also in this management system we have border restriction, across-border restriction. We integrated with our different ministries, and we have some solutions to make some border restriction to go abroad. And of course, the main approach to improve our risk management system, because after some tax evasion, we should find this solution, find this issue, and create some solutions. But it's very difficult to go forward.
Yep. Well, it's very encouraging for me to hear about this remarkable progress, and I know Kazakhstan the best of the three countries. I think of the electronic monitoring introduced by Minister Kakhamzhanov in 2000, and it's remarkable where you've come today. The other thing that struck me is so many times when the IMF is talking about digitalization, they'll focus on countries that are new into this business, like UAE or Saudi Arabia, where they've just introduced a VAT and they've been able to do these things from the start. But I think there's more countries like you that are going from an old regime and using digital technologies to go to a new regime. And this is so important. And I wish we could talk more. And I hope, StrategEast, we can facilitate more of these sessions with Microsoft, with Quantexa, and I hope we can take the message wider. I know, let's think about this for the Kazakhstan meeting of Briticom. All of the countries here are part of the BRI tax coordination group. I know the IMF is in the middle of a four-part seminar on VAT, and I'm going to take these documents from today and share them to suggest they broaden their discussion. The two service providers we have would be excellent resources there. And then in closing, you think about the modern state, a modern state with free market economy system, and the political systems vary, but that's not as important. But the tax system touches every citizen, every business. And is it a good system? Is it an honest system? Is it perceived as fair and easy to use? Judgments about your entire government and about your leaders will be formed on whether it's a good or bad experience with the tax administration. So, gentlemen, you have an enormous burden on your shoulders, and I believe the digital technologies that we've talked about for the past hour and 5 minutes can make that much easier for the revenue administrations and a better experience for your people. And that's what's going to help you build a modern state, to have your citizens feeling good about your leaders, your system, and your state. So with that, I would like to conclude our session. I would like to thank our speakers, and I hope we all can pledge that this is not the end of our discussion. We're just concluding it for today, and we shall continue it. Thank you, StrategEast. Thank you, Microsoft, for convening us today. I wish you well and hope to see you soon in person. Thank you.